Okay, so I'm back and it's day 10. And today I'm going to talk about coming to a neutral space. And the reason that I'm going to say this is because when you're bringing things into your reality, it doesn't matter what they are, you always want to have, you always want to come from like higher emotional states. Because I'm not really going to feel fearful or like a failure and accomplish big things. So I want to have at very least neutral space because when I have success, neutral space and success could be career, it could be whatever your goal is, like a trip or whatever. It could be a relationship. But when you have it and it's normal, that's that feeling that you have. Like you have that neutral feeling. And so neutral space is the best way to also dissolve situations, I guess, to dissolve realities, if that makes sense. Um, and so, what I mean by this is energy works in a really cyclical way. So, for example, if my daughter comes home from school and she's in a really bad mood, she wants to get that energy out of her. And the most likely thing she's going to do is shoot it at the nearest person in the family. So, if that's me, I have not always, but I aim to have the best level of awareness because if I don't, I'm going to pick that energy up. I'm going to maybe start telling myself that it's about me, and the next thing you know, I'm going to take this energy in and then I'm going to want to get rid of it, so I'm going to shoot it back at her. And it ends up being like a ping pong game or like a, you know, like a gunfight. And so we don't really want that. And so the best way to if you're not able to raise your own emotional state when the people around you are in a negative one, the best place that you can aim for is that neutral space. And this works if you have a really negative situation come up. Neutral space is the best place to get to because it allows you to respond in a way that's going to get you something more positive than what you've got. And I'm not going to say that I'm perfect at doing this. I have my bad days, 100%. Ask anybody that lives with me. But my goal is if I'm living in enough conscious awareness, sorry, it's windy in here, so I'm eating my hair. If I'm living in enough conscious awareness to recognize what's happening, then I'm not going to get sucked into that trajectory. Or if a situation comes up, or if my awareness starts going on worries that I have, I'm going to start to feel the anxiety. So I'm going to give you a tool today that I like to use to bring myself to neutral space. And it's very similar to grounding. If anybody doesn't know what grounding is, it's basically pulling all of your own awareness into your body or your energy or however you want to call that. Because we often spend a lot of time with our awareness up in our head. And so the result of that is that your awareness tends to then drift to the future where you might worry, maybe this thing isn't going to happen, or it'll go to the past. And then you can potentially get stuck in really useless emotions like guilt. Guilt has absolutely no function whatsoever but to keep you stuck. It doesn't solve anything. So generally, that's one of the benefits of remaining present. And so when you catch yourself not being present, or maybe you're going into a situation that kind of you're feeling a little out of sorts about, or someone comes home and they are in a really terrible mood and you can feel yourself really getting pulled into that. Grounding is a great tool, but this one, sometimes grounding, I find, for me, it takes a little longer because, especially if you're new to it. So this one is very similar to grounding. I kind of call it my grounding. But really what you're doing is you're you're going to locate your awareness, and then you're going to consciously begin to feel as though, and so for some people there'll be a visualization aspect of this, and other people it may be like a sensory, like you sense it, but you want to try to notice how far out your awareness goes and where it is, and then start to draw it into your body. So I'm literally envisioning my awareness, and my awareness, like my energy goes quite wide. I do that intentionally. It keeps me in a more open space. You can see in some of these other videos I've done where my energy is, actually the very first one I did, my energy is very constricted because I'm really up in my head. And so I'm going to notice, I guess, the width of my energy, and I'm going to start to draw it in towards myself. And I like to choose up in my head because it gives me sort of some points of reference. So I'm going to pull my awareness in, and I'm going to imagine it like light or energy or whatever you like to picture. It could be butterflies, whatever, and bring it all in, and I gather it within my head, and then so that means I'm even pulling it back. And when I look out my eyes, it now is as though I'm looking out two windows. So I'm actually pulled back from my conscious experience. And from there, I'm going to take that awareness and I'm going to drop it down into my body. And that way, I'm not only more present, but I'm also protected from sucking in other people's emotional energy, because it is we do transfer it. If you've ever been in a room with someone who's in a really crappy mood, or even someone who's in an amazing mood, and you're in the opposite mood of that person, they can either pick you up or drop you down, depending. And there's actually studies that people have done on this, or that are done on this. It's called the me effect, and it just really talks about the energy transference that happens between people. So being able to draw your awareness in and pull all of your own energy into your body makes sure that you hold your space and you're not really as susceptible to being sucked into other people's stuff. And it also stops your awareness from like wildly shooting into the future where there's fear, or where into the past where there may be guilt or regret. So if you have any questions and maybe want, I guess, a little more instruction on how this is done, send me a message.